Well, Ted, I would have to say you were the main influence. Ready for this?
Yes.
Santa.
Wow. I'm so glad you came back to Santaland this year.
Is that the bracelet your grandma gave you?
Yep, it's got sayings on it.
True beauty is here.
I came here looking for something I haven't found yet.
Maybe you found it, you just don't know it.
See, one thing you taught me is that you need to laugh, and you need to have about 70 to 80% of your story to be physical action. So you could basically understand what you're saying on mute as you're in the airport. And so we really spent a lot of time with our writers to make sure our scenes were comical and heart-touching. And merchandise, man, I remember sitting back and you pulled up one of the slides and my brain just started to process as if God downloaded these ideas of how do you include merchandise into a movie? Obviously, after a movie, you make merchandise and we see that. But through our team, this idea said, well, what if we create our story's MacGuffin as a bracelet? And we'll talk a little bit more in depth about them. And then what if in the movie, the premise hits into the soul of the character through a children's storybook? And what if in the moment we speak on premise, which our movie is about inspiring inner beauty, and my character picks up a brief moment of a book to see that she's fascinated by books. And these ideas came about, and then God put on my mind, oh, Lord, it would be so incredible to be on QVC. And we met through my dear friend, Terry Conpet, with the buyer, and they said, well, we really want this as a standalone. Can you do it as a standalone without connection to the movie? And we said, absolutely. And so we came up with these very beautiful, chic boxes. And when you open it up, it is the color of royalty. And it's #beauty bracelet. So when people are on social media, it's going to pop up. It says, you are God's masterpiece. And when you open it up, you see a 5-charm bracelet designed with a Tiffany-style chain and Alex and Ani-style charms. And my favorite charm is the one that dangles, that holds into the palm of your hand, that Delilah reads in our movie. And it says, open my heart, Jesus, help me grasp how wide, high, long, and deep is your love for me.
But I have to tell people that in the class, which is a 5-day class, I actually talk about the fact that Disney, for instance, with the movie Cars, and we love the movie Cars, by the way, we love a lot of these movies, will make very little money off the movie. Now, very little is hundreds of millions of dollars, but it make billions of dollars off all the toys. And I have 15 grandchildren, and the grandchildren love the toys. And I say in the class that a lot of the faith-based movies, and I don't want to be negative, are hospital movies. And I said, what are you going to market? You're going to market a syringe? Here's your latest toy, a syringe that your child can't play with. Here's, a hospital bed, a feeding tube. You're going to feed. So you have done. The only person I think in all the years, because I was head of the department at Berkeley, head of a department at City University, New York, who's ever understood that you have to make a movie that has many aspects to it and the marketing and other worlds. But your marketing is special. It's not like the movie Cars. It's not like princess dolls from Disney. It builds up the person. It builds up their faith because that's your story.
I think one of the most beautiful attributes that we all have, if we choose to, is the joy of Jesus, Ted. One of the biggest things we researched, and we spent time with teens and with women. We took all of this psychological and biblical truth and we put it up on its feet to say, what really helps people do what it tells us in Romans, to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And what we saw is that, which is one of our main scripture points in the movie, The Farmer and the Belle Saving Santa Land. It's not a preachy movie, but it's biblically intertwined. And one of the main points we talk about is to use whatever gift we've been given to serve others. And when we do that with joy, Ted, that joy is one of the most attractive qualities. And so in the movie, my character serves by putting Santa hats on pigs, brings in John Schneider into a concert, sets up a kissing booth with Grandpappy, played by Corbin Burnson.
You've got a great cast. Great cast. You've done a wonderful job, and they all do well. Are you making a sequel?
We are indeed. Our sequel is going to be How Do You Have a Fulfilling Marriage? And we're pulling our team of psychologists together to really thread the real life experiences about Jim and me, because our first movie is loosely based off of our true story. Basically, you hit pause on the movie and we'll explain where the narrative came from, our life. And our wedding is at the end. And that came from our dear friend, Scotty Dugan Ted. Scotty.
Oh, we love Scotty.
Yeah. To film the wedding in a prayer time. Scotty passed on with the Lord for many years now. But our second movie is going to be about a fulfilling marriage, because I went through a divorce and I know now what it is to have love. And I see so many friends who are struggling in their marriage. And we want to be a resource through comedy and fun moments and pearls of wisdom to give tools to help other families and couples.
And you help people to recognize that God makes beauty. Every single person, he's created beauty, and no leaf is the same. No person is the same. And it doesn't mean that you're not beautiful, because 60% of the young women in the United States, according to the FBI, have low self-esteem from looking at models and celebrities on TV and movies. And in fact, I have a little strip that I use in a little film in my talks, that most of the models and celebrities who we think are absolutely gorgeous have no self-esteem because they think they don't look pretty enough. And they've gone through endless adjustments to try to make them, but God thinks they're beautiful. Every single person. One of my favorite passages is God says, call no man Raka. Raka means fool or cast off or unworthy or all of those things. And he says that's one of the two unforgivable sins, because you're putting yourself in judgment for something he's created, which is beautiful, and you don't even see all the blessings that he's brought to that person. And that person may be there just to help you be blessed by loving him.
It's beautiful that you share that. I worked with Erin Smalley at Focus on the Family, and she helped me realize that when our hearts are closed and we don't believe that we are God's masterpiece, that's the biggest problem. We have to first start by opening our heart. And we took these biblical inscriptions where the first one is all about physical beauty. And we took Psalm 129, which is everyone's favorite. And then we, body and soul, I'm marvelously made. And when we hold that lie captive and you're looking in the mirror and you're seeing yourself aging or overweight or just looking and feeling unworthy, and you can say over yourself, no, I am God's masterpiece. My body and my soul are marvelously made. We could then be what it says on the second charm, being an overcomer and be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And then we take those gifts God has given us and to use whatever gift he's received to serve others and become that joyful giver. And then once we understand what our calling is, Ted, and we could be obedient to our calling, know that God has plans to prosper us and not to harm us, like I did when I was shaking in my skin talking to Bill Abbott at Hallmark before he left after he left.
Love Bill.
He's an incredible man. And I was shaking in my skin. He's such a lovely man, but still I was shaking. And I kept saying, no, the Lord has plans to prosper me and not to harm me. And during that meeting in New York at Hallmark, I grasped that heart in the palm of my hand as if I was holding Jesus's hand. And that's what I do with the bracelet. I hold on to Christ's hand. And it gives me the strength, even when I was so scared getting a C-section to have little baby James.
Oh, well, now you got to have another baby so you can have James have a brother or sister. I read that book at Christmas time to out of my 14 grandchildren, now 15 grandchildren, 11 of them are young girls, and some of them are tiny, like James. There are 3 of them that are the same age as James, but there are a lot of them that are older, and they're almost able to understand. But a couple of them, I read it to them, and I read it to Evie, and Evie said, who's my daughter, that's my favorite book. I love this book. This is the story of everyone. This is the story of every woman, every single person. We all have those issues, and that's just a beautiful story.
I love it, Ted. Our illustrator, Sarah Jo Floyd, this is one of her favorite moments because Sarah, she had a cleft lip and was bullied. And when God brought her as our watercolorist, she brought her story and she translated it into the pictures. And then throughout the storybook, we actually have hidden Easter eggs. If you look really close, you see our foreign exchange student with the Santa hat on it. And Mike Naraki did a great job with the writing. And then if you notice, you'll see the bracelet. And so God depicted all these ideas doing my prayer time.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
And Mike Naraki, Larry the Cucumber, who we love so much, boy, did he make this beautiful Mabel about a chicken who goes to hen house and teaches everyone else that kindness is the most beautiful thing instead of being plump and productive.
Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faith, gentleness, and self-control. It's such a blessing. You've made that real in the movie. You've done a great job in the movie. So before we go too far, how do people get all of the wonderful? They're not just add-ons to the movies. They're sort of the center of the movie. They're wonderful things. And how do people see the movie?
Sure thing. Well, you can most importantly support our ministry by going to our website, The Farmer and the Belle, BELLE, like Beauty and the Beast Belle, farmerandthebelle.net. And all of the money that we make, we contribute to ministries. We help women who struggle financially to be able to buy these products, but it helps our ministry. You could also get it on Amazon, Christian retail, The Farmer and the Belle Saving Santaland. We've been excited, Ted, to say we are an Amazon bestseller for 6 weeks when we released November 17th, alongside some of the leading movies on the market. God blessed us as an Amazon bestseller since we lost our theatrical due to COVID. So Prime, Amazon Prime, go there. And I think one of the greatest things you could do for all filmmakers, for anyone who's sharing, is rate the movie. And if you like it, rate it favorably and write a review. And then that helps the.
And if you don't like it, don't write a review.
Write to me so we can become better at our sequel. That's the best way if you don't like it.
Well, I'm absolutely impressed. Now, when I look at the movie, which we reviewed a couple of times as you were working on it, and you took the class a couple of times, and we'd love to have anybody out there take the class. That's my little pitch. You have several people who took the class who worked on the movie. I'm impressed with what they've done.
Ted, being in class with Betty Sullivan, that's how we developed the relationship. And I met Reuben Evans at the International Christian Film Festival, and he reached out saying, "Can I help you?" He was just on a plane leaving your class. Yeah. And Wes Llewellyn and I took the class at the same time, and he came up afterwards saying, "Jenn,
all these are good people."
Yeah, like I am to help direct your movie. And through years later, after development, God brought us back to Wes. And I really believe he did a phenomenal job capturing the heart. He said, "I felt like I was the babysitter taking yours and Jim's baby and bringing it to life." And we are so grateful for Wes. And Amy Julian, she also took the class with me. She came in and she helped me, Ted, when I had all these ideas, because I'm not a writer. And by the way, everyone who's listening, so God downloaded this idea, which many people say, God gave me the script. So I was on a 40-day fast when Jim proposed to me, and God gave me the script, but I know I'm not a writer. And he kept saying, fish out of water, Farmer and the Belle, because Jim's family lives on a farm, and I was modeling in China, and I didn't know anything about pigs. And I called you, Ted. I said, "Ted, what do I do?" And you go, "Take my class." And I go, "Okay, when is it?" He goes, "Tomorrow." And I'm like, I just drove up from Georgia. I'm entering my home in New York City. What do you mean get on a plane? And you go, "Evie will help you." And I got on that plane that next morning, and I rented a car. And the only portion of your class that I missed was you speaking in the beginning. And I got the wisdom. And then I came back the following year because I knew I needed to learn more. And you became that foundational base for me to know how to produce and how to launch what God has blessed as our first franchise.
Each one of those people had an incredible incredible talent. You know, Amy is a great script doctor. She looks at scripts. She sees the flaws. She's absolutely beautiful. So every one of them has unique talents. And Betty,
Serena,
producer. Go on.
Serena and Travis Drake, they're really good friends with you as well.
Yes, they're great friends. They do script doctoring too.
And they did all of our, if you get the DVD, we hired them each day to produce an on the day behind the scenes to honor all those who came and contributed. Because we had so many people volunteer in the Georgia area and they helped honor each person. And then Derek Warfel, our good friend, he was the one who first read the script. He says, Jen, you need a MacGuffin. And I'm like, what's a MacGuffin?
You got one. You got one.
Something she finds, like a piece of jewelry, and that's where I believe through our team the bracelet came into existence. And gosh, there's so many people who Sue Silvestri, she's been a big supporter of our ministry. She actually wrote a chapter of the book in Divine Beauty that helps unlock the revelation of each one of these bracelets. So when you say masterpiece, you open up and you say, oh, that's what it means. Get my stilettos moving. Every habit is built after 21 days of work. So how do I tell myself I'm a masterpiece each day? And so the book is written by Michelle Cox, who writes for Hallmark's When God Calls the Heart. And then I also wrote the first draft of it, and she did a retooling of it and made it.
She took my class several times. Each
Michelle
one
did.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Way back a long time ago. Yeah.
Oh, she's amazing. She's a gift. She's so talented. She's so talented. And that's one of the...
Before we sign off, so since Michelle and Susan and all these people are friends of ours, and, you know, except for Derek, most of them took the class, but Derek listens to me all the time. You would recommend the class?
Oh, gosh. Ted, not only would I recommend the class, but I want to get my husband on the next flight to take the class. Before you retire. The Bruners, our executive producers, I've told them to get Dan.
They're good friends. I worked with them. They taught the class.
And so I believe anyone who is looking on how do I actually take script to screen, you bring legacy, you bring industry professionals, you bring the actual hard knock works, and you bring it in a strong substance of how do you actually tangibly take this and bring it out into production and in a smart way. And one of the things that I really wish we were able to do, you said continue to couple with the studio, because then they would be able to drive the force. God didn't open those doors for us, but man, did we hustle it. We worked hard and we developed relationships with some of those wonderful broadcasters. And those relationships are still in my heart to this day, where they liked the story, but because it wasn't on brand, they're going to allow us to come back and pitch again. And Ted, that's because of you. If you didn't tell me to go develop those relationships, I don't know if I would have had the courage to do it.
Well, I have many of those friends, and that are in charge of the faith and family section at other studios, including Universal and others. And what I say to people, and I'm going to say it here before we sign off, is when you get the idea, go to them. Make them your partners in design, just like you did with the Bruners and everything. Keep your story, but most of the time they'll work with you and they want your story. But a lot of them are frustrated filmmakers. Mm. And so what you're doing is inviting them to be on the ride, to be in the process of making the movie. And you'll say, how would you cast this? They say, well, I don't know, but how would you do it? And they say, yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. And then you say, how would you do this MacGuffin? Oh, that's exactly what I thought would be the right idea. And I've done, parties for the people who are the studio heads with the Billy Graham Association and others. And the funny thing, I was with a big producer who was a friend of Derek Warfel's and all of us. And we were standing in line, and one of the studio heads said, how do you get a story? I'm going, you gotta be kidding me. And my producer friend said, every day I wake up with a story. So a lot of them are in the position of being the businessman, but they'd like to do the story. So the earlier you get to them, No, I know it's scary. You give them the pitch and they want to be invited on your story. And now that you've got this movie, the next movie is going to be easier and the next one's going to be easier. But remember to invite them in, because once they think they're part of the process, they're going to promote you just like you just did with everybody else. They're going to make you their star. So you need to be their star, because I want you to be their star. We love you, Jen. Jen, you've done a beautiful job. We love Jim. We love James. They're all J's. JJJ. Okay.
Yeah. And Jesus.
And Jesus, we got 4 J's in the family. So God bless you. Have a beautiful day, and thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you.
Miracles do happen.
They sure do. You came back.
You are beautiful. Are you asking me to stay?